Yo, what up, everybody? This is your boy Sean Simmons, aka Double S. Yo, listen, you're in the field with my boys, the Trackstarz. Yeah, holla.
Back in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Wright to Seantana, DJ Jeremiah. Alright, you know what time it is? It's Noteworthy time. This one is called I Don't Want to Be Bitter. Alright. Hey Trackstarz, love the show, especially this segment. I'll try to keep this short. I grew up without my biological father. He left when I was around 3, so I hear. My younger sister was still a baby. Anyway, I went through my life, high school and college, I just turned 23, not knowing if he was dead or alive, but I did know he had other kids. I recently found my 2 older brothers and sister via Facebook last year. My younger sister and I met and now have a growing relationship with my sister and one of my brothers. Recently, my younger sister, age 19, has reached out to our biological father and now has a relationship with him. I, on the other hand, do not, and I do not want a relationship with him. My siblings believe I have not forgiven him, but I have. Earlier in my walk, I went through a season where God kept telling me basically to forgive everyone, and I believe I did. God also was continually presenting himself to me as my father, showing me scriptures like how he is a father to the fatherless, which I am, along with Psalms 27:10 saying that the Lord receives me when my mother and father forsake me. Even when Jesus teaches us to pray, he says, "Our Father in heaven." From then on, I just accepted God to be my father, which makes me not see the need for a relationship with my father. My younger sister, knowing how I felt about the situation, has disregarded my feelings and brought him around. I'm cordial but never glad to see his face. This is the race of men I hate. Fathers who leave 100% of the responsibilities of raising multiple children completely to the mothers. That alone tells me so much about him, including that I don't want to bring a person like that into my life. This might make me sound super spiritual, but I don't feel I should be pursuing any man other than Jesus because he's God, especially the one man God made to be pursuing my heart. Even if a relationship did begin, I do not see how I could respect this man as I would a father. I think a father-daughter relationship would be pretty fake without any foundation. My siblings have a relationship with him, and I think I have not really forgiven. I honestly am confused as to why they see me as the wrong one here. Do you guys think I have not forgiven because I do not want a relationship with my biological father? I like to think that my reasoning is logical, but is it biblical and spiritual? If you grew up without a father, how do you feel about him now? I don't want to be bitter. What y'all think? I did not realize it was a girl until the end.
Oh, I did.
I was picturing a guy the whole time.
Really?
I was.
The very first thought was a girl.
Not me. What y'all think?
Oh man, hard to say because I think you know you have to give people the benefit of the doubt because a lot of people have children at a young age and they do a lot of things in a younger age that they rethink when they're older and regret. You know, I think you just have to accept that he may have matured in the area that he lacked when he left your mom. You know, so you have to think that he's probably a better person and he's definitely, you know, worthy of forgiveness, and you just have to understand, you know, that God has his reasons, seasons, and lifetimes for everyone in your life, and so it might just be the season now that God wants you to cultivate a relationship with him.
I'll say something first. I grew up without my father, and it's been a journey. It really, really has. So I definitely understand where you're coming from, especially as a female, because I really feel like growing up, women need validation from their fathers. If they don't get it from their fathers initially, then they'll seek it out in other men, and so that can definitely be a challenge. But even as a believer, of course, you know, it can either make or break the whole analogy and metaphor as far as God being your father. You can either accept that all the more or reject it. But I will say this, one thing that gripped my heart when I was in college, I remember my pastor using the phrase, especially as a believer, when he was talking about relationships and forgiveness and reconciliation, he was saying, as believers, the ball is always in our court. And that was a tough pill for me to swallow, because I felt like, okay, so does that mean I always have to be the one to reach out? What if that's never reciprocated? What if it's never reciprocated in the way that I want it to be? Like, do I just always have to keep putting myself out there and risk being rejected? And the question, or the answer, I would say, is that I believe as believers, it's our job to keep that door open, to keep that door of communication open, as long as, of course, it's not causing any type of detriment to us, as you know, as far as the relationship being abusive or anything. It sounds to me, though, like your father does want a relationship with you, and you're having difficulty reconciling the situation based on his past actions, and it may even be his current circumstances or situation. But I would definitely say that it sounds like you haven't forgiven him, and there's probably some hurt attached there. But you really need to kind of walk through that and come to that realization, and then of course do whatever steps you need to in order to genuinely forgive him. Does that mean you're going to have a perfect father-daughter relationship? Maybe not. I have no idea. But you've got to first acknowledge that you truly need to forgive him and release him in your heart in order to even see what the possibilities are.
Yeah, I think the way the Bible describes forgiveness is it's a debt, right? And I think, and I've had the same struggle in the past, where how do you forgive somebody? Because you'll be in church, or somebody will be talking to you, and you'll be like, I forgive, you know what I mean? Like, I want to, I'm doing it. How do I do it? You know what I mean? And you could want to all you want, but it's still, you still feel it, and it's like, dang, how do I actually forgive? Because there's been times where I felt like I did, but then my actions didn't prove it. You know what I mean? And because of that debt, there's two things that help. Yes, your father actually owes you something. He does have a debt to you, because he owed you your childhood, where he was supposed to be there. He was supposed to be your dad the whole time. He was supposed to be taking care of you. So that is a debt. What forgiveness is forgiveness is not ignoring the debt. Forgiveness is saying there is a debt, but you no longer have to pay it back to me. That's the difference. So for you, that may look like, okay, yes, you are in debt to me, like, to the highest degree. You totally skipped out my whole life up until this point. But forgiveness looks like, you owe me that, but I will not charge you for that anymore. So it's as if it's as if he was there the whole time. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But you still have to have the understanding that he may have challenges at being a good person. So I think that's the difference, is you can forgive somebody but still be aware that this person is challenged, and you have to treat them differently. You see what I'm saying? And I think that brings up the question, like, and you brought up abuse, and there's levels of abuse. When you forgive somebody, do you still have to be around them? Do you still have to deal with them? What do y'all think?
I think that's true forgiveness, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
I think true forgiveness is when you forget everything and keep it moving.
Here's another question, though. What if you don't have to? What if you don't have to be, like, what if you're dating somebody and they just treat you like a mess? Yeah. Does forgiveness mean you have to continue to be with them?
No, I mean, you don't have to, like, yo, it's such and such gonna be there, let me go there so I can show true forgiveness. No, you don't have to do that. But I think if you really want to be free, because at the end of the day, running away from the problem is still, like, it's still some forgiveness that need to be dealt with, because you're running away for a situation. You know what I mean? Like, let's prime example. Let's say people invite you to a get together. You know that person's going to be there. You don't go. Why don't you go? Is it because you still got something that needs to be rectified between you two? You know what I mean? So I would say until you can be in the same room with the person and everything is good between you two, then you
well, the only reason I bring that up is because a lot of people struggle with this when they're in a bad relationship. They say, I forgive them, so does that mean I have to give them another chance? And I just want to clarify, this to me is a permanent relationship. This your dad. That's a permanent, God gave you that relationship. But some dude that comes into your life is not a permanent relationship until you get married. Yeah. So I just want to make sure, because I remember being confused. If I forgive you, if I really forgive you, do I have to continue to be with you? And I think that's separate in this situation. This person will always be your father, regardless.
I think that's just depending on whether or not the relationship is healthy. If it is an unhealthy relationship, and that's honestly whether it's what you would deem a permanent relationship or not, if there's abuse involved, you do not need to go back to that situation until it has changed, like something has changed there.
That's a good situation. How do you, if it is abusive, how do you forgive and be separate? How do you reconcile those emotions? Because I don't think that he was abusive to her, but she obviously feels abused just seeing him. So how do you reconcile? I don't want to be around you, but I forgive you.
I think
that feels like two different emotions.
I think you just need to be able to tolerate that person. You know, in any type of situation, if a family death occurs and they go to a funeral, they need to be able to tolerate each other. And I think that's how you know in your heart there's forgiveness. You know, you understand that, okay, I don't have to be around this person, or I don't have to have a relationship with them, but I can be cordial and tolerate them when I am around them.
Yeah, that's a matter too. It sounds to me like of building trust. Trust needs to be rebuilt, and in many cases this may need to be earned, period. And that's something that is not 0 to 60. That's not a on-off kind of thing. You know, you can forgive someone, but there still needs to be trust that needs to be built, and that looks like stages. So it may be a big deal to just be in the same room when her sister brings her father around, you know, for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Then maybe it's going out to an outing with them or whatever, you know. I mean, there's no telling what journey she may have to take in order to really get to a place where it's like, I'm developing a relationship with my father instead of just tolerating him.
Does she have to?
I don't think she has to. I mean, I think that's really something for the Holy Spirit to answer, honestly. And it can't be based on, well, I don't like him, honestly. I think the Holy Spirit will check that real quick. But if it's an unhealthy situation or scenario, absolutely not.
I actually wanted to say something before, and I didn't know if you had another question. You don't want nothing to happen to him, and then you feel regret. That's the worst thing ever. You don't want to be like, man, I wish I could have spent more time with my father. And like we saying, we don't know the situation, because it could have been abusive. He could have been sexually abusive. He could have been verbal, whatever. If God could, like, I think people don't realize that even as Christians, we don't realize that if Jesus can forgive us, then we should be able to forgive others, regardless of how hard it is. We should be able to forgive others, and you know, just take the step. Now, if he's willing to take the step, you never know. You could be willing to take that step, and he could just pour his heart out to you, and the stuff that you're looking for, he could say that to you, and it could change your mentality about him for a while.
Challenge. I love this. Ryan knows. How about you do this? Can you imagine him doing that? And imagine him pouring his heart out to you, saying, oh, this and oh, that. If you can imagine that and it makes you angry, you haven't forgiven him yet. Because I know some people's reaction would be, I ain't got no time for that. Don't be crying now. I don't have to, you know what I mean? If that's your reaction, you have not forgiven yet. But if your reaction is, if your heart is broken for him, you feel sorry for him that he hasn't been a great person up until this point, you want him to be a great person at some point, that's forgiveness. You see what I'm saying? He may be a difficult person, you may have challenges dealing with him, but if you want the best for him, that's how you can start telling, okay, maybe I did forgive him, maybe. Let me keep working on it, but possibly I have. You see what I'm saying? So hopefully that helps. I know that's deep, and again, whenever we come across one that's this serious, we really encourage you to talk to your sisters, talk to somebody in your church. If you want to follow up with us, you feel free to email us and give us more information, because this is an issue in your life that it may not look like it's important, but you could be hurting yourself if you're still bitter. Yep. You could be taking years off your life. Like we were talking in the break about something similar, and bitterness could really end up hurting you, not him. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So like this is of vital importance. If you thought you forgave him and you're seeing signs that you may not have, this is top priority to make sure you have. You see what I'm saying?
Can I give her a book recommendation real quick? I just want to give you a book recommendation real quick too. It's called Father Hunger, and I can't remember the author's last name. I think it's Robert something, but look it up. You could probably find it on Amazon.com or something, but it's Father Hunger. I think it may be a great resource for you.
And your last line where you were talking about a man in your life, this could impact your marriage. Don't think it can't. Like, this can end up impacting marriage if you don't deal with this father issue. So this can hurt you more than him. I just want you to know that. So deal with this. This is vitally important. All right, you in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Wright, Seantana, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.